Welcome to Get Your FRQ On. This question is from 2010, Form B, Question 2, and it is calculator active. In the question stem, we have a function g which is defined for all positive values of x. We are given that g of 1 is equal to 2, and we are also given explicit formulas for g prime of x and g double prime of x. In part A of this question, we are asked to find all values of x in the closed interval from 0.12 to 1, where the function g has a horizontal tangent line. We know that the function g will have a horizontal tangent line when g prime of x is equal to 0. And since we're given that g prime of x is the sine of x plus 1 over x, we need to solve g prime of x equals 0, which means sine of x plus 1 over x equals 0. But since this is a calculator active question, we'll use our calculator to do that. On the closed interval from 0.12 to 1, g prime of x takes the value of 0 when x is 0.163 and when x is 0.359. In part B of this question, we are asked to identify subintervals of the open interval from 0.12 to 1, where the graph of g is concave down. We know that the graph of the function g of x will be concave down whenever the second derivative of g is negative. The second derivative of g will be negative, means that 1 minus 1 over x squared times cosine of x minus 1 over x, which is the function we're given as the second derivative of g, when that is less than 0. And since this is a calculator active question, we'll use our calculator to do that as well. Using our calculator, we can see that g of x is going to be concave down on the interval from 0.130 to 0.223. In part C of this equation, we are asked to write the equation for the tangent line to the graph of g at x equals 0.3. In order to write the equation for the tangent line, we need to know both g prime of 0.3 and g of 0.3. G prime of 0.3, we can calculate by plugging 0.3 into the function that we were given as the derivative of g. And it's a calculator active question, so we can calculate that. It turns out g prime of 0.3 is negative 0.472. Finding g of 0.3 is going to require setting up an integral. We're going to need 2 plus the integral from 1 to 0.3 of g prime of x dx. And since this is a calculator active question, we'll use our calculator to evaluate that expression. And it turns out that g of 0.3 is 1.546. Using x equals 0.3 and the values we got for g prime of 0.3 and g of 0.3, we can write the equation for the tangent line as y minus 1.546 equals negative 0.472 times the quantity x minus 0.3. In part D of this question, we are asked if the tangent line to the graph of g at x equals 0.3 is above or below the graph of g on the interval from 0.3 to 1, and to explain why. So we've already determined that the graph of g is only going to be concave down on the interval from 0.130 to 0.223, but that is not a subinterval of 0.3 to 1. Now, because g of x is not a linear function, g of x will be concave up on the interval from 0.3 to 1. So because g of x is concave up on the desired interval, we know that the tangent line to the graph of g at x equals 0.3 will be below the curve on that interval from 0.3 to 1. If you like the AP Calculus free response question solutions and want more of them, don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and you can also find me on X at x.com/getyourfrqon.